If the readings that we have been pondering on all these many Sundays since Pentecost are a course in what is necessary to be a disciple of Jesus, then today's readings are midterm exams. The hymn today said, "The Church of Christ in every age must claim and test its heritage." That's what a midterm exam on discipleship does. It tests our discipleship. And the readings today do just that. In the first reading, the prophet Ezekiel is speaking to the Jewish people who have been taken into exile. They no longer have their own country. They no longer have their temple. They no longer have their worship. Not just virtual worship like we have. They don't have worship at all because they're so far from the temple. And as they have always done in the past, they put the blame for their problems on the former generations. This was the mentality of the time. Remember the saying, the fathers eat green grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge? That was the mentality. So blame for their predicament fell on former generations, or even, in some cases, on God himself. And so Ezekiel leads the people gradually into a sense of personal responsibility for their problems. He leads them to change their attitude towards the way they behave in relationship to each other and to God. The disciples of Jesus need to do the same thing. We need to face our own needs and reevaluate our own behavior or our own thinking. For our vision, our way of looking at reality, our way of looking at life as disciples of Jesus can be changed and clouded by many things. The culture we live in, the fears that we have, the behavior of other people can often influence us so that we no longer think and act according to Christ. Our response can be self-concerned and not Christ-centered. Self-protecting walls can be built up slowly in our lives, which keep us from behaving like disciples of Christ. The solution to this problem for us is in the second reading. St. Paul tells us, you must have the mind of Christ. And then he describes the mind of Christ. Christ emptied himself. He was self-forgetful, not self-concerned. And he challenges this group of Christians that he's writing to, probably his first parish, as we would call it. Are you emptying yourself according to the needs of your neighbor? Or are you still so concerned with your own self that you're not acting in the way of Christ? The question for us today in this examination of our discipleship is, can we begin to see anew with the eyes of Christ? And the answer is yes, we can, provided we keep ourselves attuned to the mind of Christ, which means constant use of the Scriptures and constant prayer. Because if we don't continually have that input, we become very, very self-centered, self-concerned, and self-oriented. Like the son in the parable today, we can say yes, yes, when it comes to our discipleship, but not act accordingly day by day. We may be in a period of virtual worship because of the times, because of this coronavirus, but we have to be certain that there is no such thing in our relationship with Christ as virtual discipleship. It's either real, ongoing, growing, taking more and more control of our way of thinking and our way of behaving, or it's dying. You cannot be a virtual disciple of Jesus.